Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we are going to discuss how to be brave with new beginnings that are being initiated with the Saturn-Neptune Conjunction, which is exact on February 20th at 11:53 a.m. This is where these two planets meet up at 0 degrees of Aries, 44 minutes, and begin a whole new cycle together that is significant, not only because the new cycle only happens once every 36 years, but because it's occurring at the very, very beginning of the full zodiac journey, 0 degrees of Aries. So this brings a heightened focus to intentionality, what you are starting and moving towards, as well as what you are consciously creating based on who you are now. Now, we've been discussing this energy for a while, including last year when in 2025, both Saturn and Neptune were very close to each other in the early degrees of Aries back in August, but they weren't exact. So that means that in 2025, there were things we were figuring out, understanding what needs to shift and change in my life in order for this new beginning to take off. What parts of myself am I closing out and finalizing so that I can move into a new energy that I fully embody and live from? Last year was also a time of a dress rehearsal, a rough draft, a sampling of potentials, and perhaps you saw more clearly where the endings were necessary so that the new starts of 2026 could be fully actualized. So now we move into this cycle, and I wanted to offer you some tips and guidance for brave new beginnings, as well as an intuitive visualization to work with to ground in these energies for yourself. So that is my intention for today's show. Before we get into that, just some brief astrology here on Saturn moving into Aries. Saturn is beginning a new 30-year cycle in Aries, and the last time Saturn was in Aries was back in April 1996 into 1998. So you might review those years in your life, in your journey. What was beginning for you, 1996 to 1998, that was setting you off on a new direction, perhaps requiring new courage, independence, trust in yourself, having to stick with something and ensure that it was truly what you wanted. And there are often tests with Saturn. Saturn brings in the reality checks of what we're committing to and what it really looks like, because there can be these big ideas you have, some grand inspirations, some really exciting potentials. But in the reality of energy, those are easy. The ideas are easy. The inspirations can come about quickly. Saturn says, okay, what are you going to make real? What are you going to stick with? What resources are required? What do you need to have in place? What's the long-term strategy? Saturn brings in the how. How is this going to be built? How are you going to trust your sacred fire and make something real for yourself? So this brings in the slow down of the energies. And I think of it as you're going along in your vehicle, whether or not you are driving the speed limit is between you and God, but you are moving along here, and all of a sudden, right in front of you, enters a police officer, a cop, and they are now in front of you, but they are going below the speed limit. They are setting the pace that you have to adjust to. And part of Saturn is understanding the role of rules, regulations, authority, and consequences. So now you have to slam on the brakes, allow enough space between you and that police officer, assess your choices and decisions wisely. If you were to speed up and pass them, there would be some consequences perhaps, but there can also be frustration here and impatience, even annoyance, because you were moving along at the rhythm you chose. And now that rhythm has been interrupted with a new pace, a slowdown, or a perception of a slowdown that you have to adapt to and work with. And with that can be anger, impatience, frustration that you then have to manage, which is part of the responsibility of Saturn in any sign. And Saturn is also about your sovereignty. So you have to personally manage any primal responses. And that's Aries. Aries is primal energy. It's how you get triggered or how you respond without even thinking about it. It's where you feel that anger rise up, or you hit the horn, or you want to show them one of your fingers. That's part of the impulsive primal energies of Aries that need to be responsibly managed. And that is a big part of what we will be moving through and working with as Saturn stays in Aries until April 2028. But when you work with Saturn, when you accept what is, what you have to focus on and take care of, that is where you start to make steady progress and where you're going to see development, growth, and what is being built. And so even if it's not happening on the timeline you expected or you desired, there is a shift here that can work in your favor because you become more consciously aware of what you're creating and putting energy towards. So allow for this readjustment over the next number of months. And because we had Saturn in Aries back in 2025, perhaps you've already been aware of things you need to adjust and adapt to this new rhythm. So additionally, we have Neptune in Aries. Neptune returned to Aries the end of January this year, January 26th. And Neptune is going to stay in Aries until 2039. So, oh yes, we will be discussing this energy for years to come. But now Neptune has left his home sign of Pisces, where everything was flowing, open, free, inconsistent. And now Neptune is in Aries, that is bringing you into your self-awareness around your spiritual identity, your intentional soul mission, the dreams you are here to give life to. This is also related to personal integration of your spirituality, intuition, psychic gifts, all the energies you've been learning and developing, especially when Neptune was in Pisces. Now there is a new consciousness around how you actually live with it and live from it. And you might find that you are starting to navigate your world with these gifts and that you are trusting energies that you're feeling and sensing more than ever, and that it's becoming more of an ingrained part of you. Neptune in Aries brings attention to your personal sovereignty, personal choices, and what you are feeling compelled to begin that's bigger than perhaps the mind or even what you thought you'd be doing in your life. This is where we're feeling a bigger force, if you will, guiding us forward that we are being asked to trust at a very personal level. And so a big part of this cycle right now is that the brave new beginnings we're starting are not going to be verified by other people. And that's where courage is required to trust your own path, to honor your own self-leadership, to go your own way, and to not wait for others or expect others to necessarily join you, because everyone else has their own individual dream and path that they are moving into as well. But this conjunction between Saturn and Neptune is going to fortify you, because Saturn strengthens the backbone, strengthens the sense of self. I can handle this. I can do this. I am ready to take this on and to hold it in my own energy field. And at the same time, both these planets that are moving into Aries are going to receive a supportive sextile from Pluto in Aquarius. And then in April, there will be a supportive sextile from Uranus in Gemini. So all of this is supporting the forward developments that you are ready to commit to and realistically change in your life. life. We are all feeling it on some level. There is this compelling energy to move on and move forward. And I see this as many way showers also understanding a new part of my mission is becoming more apparent now. There's a new part of me that I am feeling and sensing that says, I need to do this now. I need to leave behind what I've previously been working on or committed to. And so many light workers and starseeds are feeling a powerful activation of their soul mission at this time. And that is beautifully aligned for you. Perhaps you've been developing new skills. You've been investing in new studies or new knowledge. You've been understanding that there's more here that is ready for you and right on time. And you've wondered when does this come through? When do I fully move towards that? Well, the universe is giving you some green lights over the next number of months as we move into the middle of 2026, signaling that now is the time for these new starts. In fact, I wanted to mention that I had a wonderful conversation with the one and only Pam Gregory that was released back on February 14th, where we discussed these milestone energies of 2026. And Pam shared some brilliant ways of understanding what's starting now, as well as some tools you can use to help move forward, to be open to your own expansion and evolution. So that was a great conversation. I'm a longtime admirer of Pam and her efforts and contributions. So that is on our YouTube channels if you want to check out that conversation. Pam and I are on the same frequency and page around how this astrology is supporting our soul growth and what we are each here to do in this lifetime that is designed to take you higher and also help create the new earth energies on the planet. In fact, it's a recreation of new earth energies that we're calling forward from ancient timelines and other soul experiences. It is that big. And one of the reasons Pam and I wanted to have that conversation now is to support people in connecting with that part of themselves that's actually ready, because your human self might not feel so ready. Your human self is going to have fears. Your ego is going to want certainty. Your mind is going to be searching for certain facts and details and affirmations to help with this new start. But your soul is ready to go. Let's hit it. Let's get this moving. And that is part of what we are moving into in such a big way right now. So one of the visualizations I wanted to offer is that this conjunction is occurring at 0 degrees 44 minutes of Aries in your chart. And it might help to visualize yourself standing in the middle of that degree point, standing right there in the middle of that 0, also known as a circle, standing in the middle and really holding all of your creative potential, your soul wisdom, your divine intelligence, and a deep sense of trust in yourself, because that is part of the Aries signature. Aries is you trust yourself to move forward before there's any proof, before there's any validation. You fully claim, I can handle this. I'm ready for this. I came here to live life on my own terms. And this is an energy signature that is supporting all of us in fully owning those energies. So this is an internal job. This is your powerful declaration with the universe that you are initiating and beginning this next level manifestation now. And 0 degrees of Aries is the point of creation where the soul has chosen to take a body, to exist in the physical and have a self-identity separate from the Pisces realms of all that is. So Pisces would be the energy of your soul in its open vastness, connected to everything, existing in timelessness. And then it decides, I am going to have a crazy, wild human experience so I can wear Converse and scroll on a phone. And then you take an identity, you choose your soul contracts, your soul lessons, you select what this adventure is going to be about, and you consciously incarnate and you become that energy field in physical form at 0 degrees of Aries. It's also your morning alarm going off that jolts you awake out of that dream state, brings you into the present, which is Aries. It's right now, right here, this heartbeat, the blood pulsing through your body. Everything in the now is the 0 degrees of Aries. And so that's where you want to visualize standing at this degree point, claiming with your authority and your soul's guidance that you are safe to begin, you are ready to start, everything is working in your favor now, and you command it to be so. And this is important to declare out loud or internally. Out loud is actually more powerful because when you give something voice, you're activating your throat chakra. You're also declaring it to the elements, to the world. It's a stronger message to say it out loud. So yes, you should say it out loud when you're standing in line at the grocery store. Let everybody know this is not just about buying your kale and cereal. You are declaring something very powerfully here that is much bigger than even this present moment. And that's part of the Neptune influence, because Neptune then takes you out of the time-space continuum and out of the linear process. So there is a powerful multidimensional signature here, and that is beautifully supported. Now, as you move forward over the next few months and this year, being brave with a new beginning is an ongoing reset and recommitment that you make to yourself, because there will be challenges and things you have to figure out and sort out. But part of the new beginning here is that there is no exact readiness. There is no certainty, meaning you might be waiting to feel ready, but this is where you're claiming courage is moving forward without the knowingness, without the certainty. So you're moving ahead by making those moves, not by waiting to feel ready, because there is no exact readiness. It's a feeling here. Again, it's a primal feeling with Aries that it's just time to go. So part of what you're stepping towards is the new story that you are creating, which means an old story is ending. An old chapter is closing out here, and there are parts of your life that are going to end and fall away because you are done. Energetically, there's no connection to you anymore. There's nothing that can be reestablished. In fact, this is where things can feel very clear and clean unexpectedly, because you're realizing, I don't need answers or apologies. I don't need validation. I don't need others to be on board. I'm doing this because the time is right to begin my new story, so the old chapters are no longer relevant or important. Yes, they got you to this point, but that doesn't mean they carry forward with you. And that is something you could be realizing too. Another thing you're choosing when you're being brave is you're choosing your own self-alignment to what is going on within you, what you are feeling called to create and do that isn't about approval. Approval isn't necessary here. In fact, approval is where you then outsource what you desire or what you're creating based on what others think or want or decide. This is your own approval. This is where you actually then stabilize, that Saturn, you stabilize based on approving yourself. This is what I want, and that's enough. That's good enough. This is my alignment with myself. Strengthening that internal alignment is one of the best things you can do for yourself, and also help you feel more courageous in what you're entering into. And with this comes a new understanding of your energy. The fact that you are moving in a new direction, and not everyone's going to get it. Not everyone's going to see it or understand it. And that isn't your problem to solve. You don't have to do anything about that. Other people's misunderstandings is their own thing to figure out or not. And there can be people who project onto you because of their own discomfort. They don't know how to work with it. They don't know how to take accountability. They don't know how to see something in a new way or a different light. That's not yours to figure out. That's not yours to take on. So part of what you're prioritizing here is what is correct for you internally. That's much more important than anybody else's perceptions, opinions, or perspectives. I remember years ago when I was doing one-on-one sessions, I was working with this beautiful, bright woman who was an entrepreneur, and she was working through some big things that she wanted in her life. And she kept coming up against people in her family who didn't get it. And what I was receiving intuitively was that you are such a bright rainbow of colors. You came in with so much that you wanted to experience, and that you have these hues and tones that are very effervescent and bright and sparkly. And then there's people in your life who only see black, white, and gray. They don't see you. They don't see your light. They don't recognize who you are and what you came here to do. And even though this makes sense at perhaps a visual or even mental level, there can be parts of your energy that feel quite sad around that, or disappointed, even rejected through the misunderstandings. I remember years ago, I was connected with these women who could never fully see what I was doing. And I would share with them my successes and my triumphs and, oh my gosh, I did this and this is going on with my podcast. And I was having some really great energy and developments, and they never got it. They never understood what I was building, what I was creating. And they were some of the first people I took these victories to. I've been doing this for 14 years. I've been building my platform for 14 years. I started writing my first book in 2009. I now have 12 books. Like, I've been building and building for years. And there are people who literally didn't get it. I had to accept that. I had to accept it and move away from them, especially the ones that were poisonous, who were mean, who were not able to adjust and celebrate because they can't see differences. They can't see that everyone has their own path. There are those of us who are here to blaze open new trails that support other people, that allows others to then trust their path and move it forward. So this is a time to fully own how you are here to be a unique spark of light, and you do not have to do anything to compromise your path or dim your light for people who are committed to misunderstanding you. They're going to rewrite history. They're going to make up lies. They're going to do anything to justify their position because they can't take responsibility or accountability for their own smallness, for their own lack of growth. And that's part of what we're going to see even more right now, is that there are people who are afraid to grow, who are afraid to see things in a new light. This is a time on the planet where our belief systems are not only evolving, but they are being shaken up, where something you thought was true is collapsing, or a person you looked up to is not who they really said they were or who you thought they were. This is where our belief systems are being jolted as part of our collective awakening. And that means it's working with people individually and it's working with you. There's an opportunity here to believe in yourself more, to claim more of who you are and not adapt to those who are committed to less. Not everyone comes with you, in other words. Not everyone moves forward into this next chapter. The shedding and removals are going to continue, and you can't think of it as choosing wrong or making a bad choice. Rather, you are making honest choices. You're saying, this is who I am now. This is who I'm becoming. This is where the energy is rising through me to move forward. And it is awesome. So you are choosing yourself honestly and bravely, understanding that everyone else has the opportunity to do so as well. And it's important to detach from others' choices, others' opinions, others' low vibe thoughts. Because if it doesn't align, you're going to know quickly and easily that this is where the cut happens, the break happens. And that's part of this energy as well. There is no middle ground. There is no right foot on one side, left foot on the other side anymore. It's all in. This conjunction is all in. Choosing yourself, choosing what is clear, choosing what is strong. And it doesn't mean those choices are always easy at first, but they do gain strength. And that's part of what will happen over the next few months. So you want to also have a practice here that returns you to what you're choosing so that you can be consistent, so that you have a devotion or something that you return to that reminds you of what you have declared with the universe and how to remain strong in that. Part of this is also going to be seeing where it's necessary to be quieter. And that is something that's quite noticeable because when you've healed, when you have a new sense of inner confidence and personal power, you do move more quietly. You can feel more peaceful and lighter. There's less you have to say or announce or do. There's less that you put your energy towards. There's less that you even get involved in. I feel that this energy is the archetype of apex animals who are very clear around what they put energy and effort towards. If you think of an apex predator or any animal at the top of a food chain, they conserve energy. They observe and watch. They hold back, strategize, wait for timing, look at what those crazy meerkats are doing or watch those monkeys running all around. But the apex animal isn't doing that. There's a stillness and a quiet. It's a concentrated energy that's aware of its own power. And so when that apex animal does move, it does so with intentionality and clarity. There's a sense of now I will move ahead. Now is the time to hunt or eat. But there's an honoring of what is needed and what is not. It's a very different way to move. And maybe you're sensing that now too. That whatever is falling away, whatever is no longer requiring your participation, interaction, engagement, whatever the case may be, that is a beautiful triumph. That can even be a sense of peace and an honoring of completion and closure. So know that being quiet and moving with stealth intentionality is part of your energetic mastery. And maybe that is something that changes you as well, that shifts this new movement, that you're walking with peace, courageous peace. You're being more honest with yourself. More things are inconsequential. They don't even matter. They're just passing through. And there's also something to be said around how this can feel lonely, because part of walking a new path is that you do it by yourself. And maybe there's less empty conversations or less people who get it, or there's just a select few, right? There's a select few who are on the page, who are walking in the same way on their own path. But there is a beauty in that too. So it can feel like a void. You can feel like you're all alone in a void, but this is also where you then call in more of your connection to your God self, your angels, your spirit guides, whoever you connect with in the higher realms and the unseen, knowing that they are walking with you should you extend the invitation, because they won't intrude on your personal energy or your free will. But that's where you will feel support and strength, is if you open up to those energies and to the presence that they offer. So this is a powerful beginning, as I've said 64 times here, but remember that you've always had new beginnings in your life. You've always had new beginnings that you've moved through. So that could be an interesting thing to look back on hindsight and observe, how do I handle new beginnings in my life? How did I handle that first day of school or that first day at university? How do I handle first day on the job or showing up to a new sports practice or a new activity? How do I start new beginnings that maybe have been unconscious for me? And it might be fascinating to look back on those patterns around how those new beginnings feel to your nervous system. And that's going to be something to manage and remain conscious of, because your nervous system is part of your primal energy field. It's a big part of it. And that's where you could feel a lot of anxiety, stress, guilt, or worry. That's where you can have those fears come in and tell you to hold back, to don't do it. Don't try it. That's where you can give yourself all kinds of excuses. But I feel that this is also where the strength of the Saturn-Neptune conjunction resides, because whatever comes up through those nervous system messages, you're going to be able to regulate it and work through it. You're going to have some new tools available, whether that is through searching for what those tools may be or just trusting what feels right for you. But this is where you're working with your full energy system and embedding it with strength, courage, and honesty. I can handle this. I've got this. This is divinely timed. This is all happening for a beautiful divine purpose that I don't see yet, and that's okay. It's okay to not know where it goes or what it looks like. That, of course, is going to depend on your own astrology chart, because I know that some people really struggle with not knowing. I love not knowing. So that's why I want to offer that to you. Like, I get excited that we don't know, because it could play out in so many awesome ways for you. So expand your perspective here. This can unfold for me in ways I could never dream. There are many miracles present here. There are many paths that are all for my best and highest good. It's not just one necessarily. There can be many great things that unfold. So I hope that gives you a way to mentally look at this and to trust that this new beginning can bring you more joy, more abundance, more happiness, more confidence. And it also is meant to align you with more of the life you're here to live, with more of the ways you want to live on the planet outside of our traditional conditioning and life expectations. And so, yes, we learn that we go to school until we're about 18. Then we've got to maybe specialize in an area or develop specific skills. Then we have a job. Then we have a paycheck. And all of that is being recreated right now, where the universe is asking you to choose. But what life do you want to live? What routines do you want to have? How do you want to work with energy? What matters to you right now so that you can build a life based on your values and your priorities? And yes, I know that brings up a lot of questions around the practical elements, especially of money and finances. So I don't want to discredit that, but know that this is also where new solutions can show up that also align with your new vision. So I hope this helps guide you with some things to consider, to practice, to remember. Chances are you've already known some of these things and they're just a remembrance of them. But this is a beautiful time for these new beginnings that we're each being called to do. So as always, thank you for joining me for this podcast. I'll be back every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for a new episode as we continue to move through these dynamic changes of 2026 and beyond. And if learning more about your own astrology chart is part of this new start for you, please check out my website, mollymccord.online, where I have a brand new website that guides you through the right track and courses that could align for you now. So if you feel called to understand more of your energies in this lifetime, guess what? I think astrology is a great way to do that. So I just wanted to share that in case it helps with what you're searching for. As always, thank you so much for joining me. Have a beautiful day ahead, a beautiful weekend ahead, and I'll connect with you soon next week. Take good care.